Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to implement sprint and jump mechanics for our Sly Cooper game in Godot. Let's start with sprinting. First, we define two constants that store the player's walking speed and running speed. Then, we add a new variable called speed, which by default will be set to the walking speed. Because of that, we need to update our current movement implementation to use this new speed variable. Now we introduce another variable is running, which will track whether the player is currently sprinting and set it false by default. In the physics process function, we check whether the sprint key is being pressed. If it is, we set is running to true and assign the run speed to speed. Otherwise, we reset is running to false and assign walk speed back to speed. Now, when we run the project, the player will move at the normal speed by default. But when we hold the shift key, the player will move faster. Let's now handle the sprinting animation. We add a condition that checks the value of is running. If true, we play the running animation. Otherwise, we play the walking animation. If we test the game now and start sprinting, the animation will automatically switch to running. Let's summarize the sprint mechanic. We define two constants for walk speed and run speed. We define two variables, speed and is running. Next, we check for sprint input to update these variables. Finally, we use is running to switch between walking and running animations. Let's move on to jumping. We start by creating a new variable is jumping and we set it to false by default. In the physics process function, we check whether the jump key is just pressed and is the player on the floor. If true, we set y velocity to jump velocity and we set is jumping to true. To reset the jumping state, we add a condition at the end of the physics process. If the character is on the floor, we set is jumping back to false. Now, when we run the project and press space, the character will jump. Let's also play the correct jump animation. Inside the condition where we perform the jump, we call the jump animation from the animation player. Then, inside the logic for other animations, we add an extra check to make sure those animations don't play while it's jumping. Now, when we run the project and jump, the jump animation will play as expected. Let's summarize the jump logic. We define is jumping variable. We check for jump input and whether the player is on the ground. If so, we update the velocity and play the jump animation. Then we reset the is jumping to false when the player lands. Currently, there is a bug. If the player falls off the ledge without jumping, no animation is played. We'll fix that later when we refactor the code and implement a state machine, which will work in the next episode. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. It's really helping me stay motivated to keep making more content. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.